This time on Kustom Works, we're putting some serious patina on the meat wagon. Let's get to the work tent. Okay then, so it's sort of, but not actually, paint time for the meat wagon. Now, the meat wagon, what it's meant to be is like, imagine like it's an old food van or whatever it was, hot dogs, donuts, whatever, and then it's been dumped in a field somewhere hot for a long time. It's got a certain patina about it, and then it's been dragged here, slammed on the ground, and made into the food van it's going to be. Well, that's like the story, the nonsense story behind the car. What we need is a patina paint job, but I don't just want like a cloud of this colour nebulously fading into a cloud of another colour all the way round, because I don't think that ever really happens. I want to try and make it look real. So I'm going to use real rust, and I'm going to put that under the paint. So first up, what I'm going to do, I'm going to mix up some paint that will rust, and I'm going to spray it in all the areas where I think this would rust. So maybe the top of the bonnet, that would have been bleached out by the sun and maybe gone to a surface rust, tops of the wings, tops of the doors, under trims and stuff. And I want to make it so I put that on, then I nib it off. Then I cover it in a solution of, it's going to be that clear vinegar, salt and peroxide. That will start to bring the rust out. Then I'm going to paint the van in a base coat, but then I'm going to keep applying the sort of the rusty solution that makes the rust come through. And I'm going to let the rust come through the paint, so that rather than you've got some paint, then you add some rust, rust never is on top. It always comes from underneath and through. So that's what I'm going to do. And I'm hoping that'll give me sort of a realistic effect. Also, I want to try and get the gun, maybe drop the pressure right down, get it to speckle, so I get some spotting of rust that then comes through, as it really would look. Yeah, I just want to try and achieve something that's authentic, doesn't look too much like the sort of fake patina thing. Now on the van, we won't be touching any of the roof, because the roof is going to be in like patina, but it's going to look more like old polished aluminium. So we're only really talking this down, again the bumpers and all the things at the back, that's all going to be in the sort of polished aluminium look. So we won't be doing anything there, but certainly for the wings, the running boards, these sides and everything, all of these trims, we'll be looking to get some sort of rust effect going on there. And I've got to be honest, once I've done this, I've flatted it, I paint it in its colour, then really, it's sort of just down to nature. I will be adding the peroxide, salt and vinegar mix, that's it. And of course this will probably sit on the ramp for a few days, because we've got to do some reinforcing underneath and, you know, just to mount the body a bit better. So it can sit out there. But literally is in the hand of the god or gods, whichever way you look upon it. Let's get into the paint mixing area, which is grim. And we'll mix up the potion of the rusty paint. Okay then, so making your own rust paint at home. Plenty of places sell rust paint, but really it's just like some clear with some of this stuff inside it, which is atomised iron powder. Incredibly fine, easily goes through the gun with a little bit bigger tip. I today will be using a
bigger one.
Slightly bigger one, like the one you're going to put your high build primer on with. I can't actually see what that is, but it's a little bit bigger than what I usually use for top coat. And I'll be mixing this with bits of matte clear. I'll be thinning this, and all I want to do, I just want to stick that to the panel so it goes rusty and rusts through paint. I'd recommend this even if you've got a steel car. Always do a few layers of primer, get it flatted down, then add your rust after that. Never actually let the metal of the car rust. It's just madness. Your pride and joy is literally ebbing away every time it rains. So let's mix up some of this. All weights and measures are guessed out of my mind. So here we go then. So I'm going to mix this up first, 2K, and then I'm going to add the powder after that. So first up, some matte clear, and then I'm going to put the hardener in it. So, I'm going to stir it with a screwdriver. My apologies here. You know what I mean? It's not like we're doing gloss black top coat. Come on, people. This is okay. And I'm going to add some thinners. Now I shall mix those. Why did you think I was going to have one of them things? Things. Not King Diggit. Right then. So, what I'm going to do is add this powder. This powder is incredibly heavy. It literally feels like a piece of metal. It's crazy. I'll put a bit in. Give it a stir. And if you can see there, it sends it like darker and darker grey. So a little bit more. Stir that in. And a little bit more. I've no idea why I bought it in such like small amounts, but I did. I thought I was going to get 4 really big sacks of it, but no, that's it. In we go. This doesn't lump up at all. This mixes in nice. I'm not seeing at the minute that it is in any way thickening the fluid at all, so I'm going to go with one more. And then I will mix that, my entire thing. Even now, these 2 cups feel oddly heavy. This is how I imagine like mercury would feel or something. Because it's got the iron powder in there, I can feel the extra weight. Very odd. If you've got a spray gun and it looks like this, then you're just an absolute animal. Obviously, this is one I've had specially designed. It's not dirty, this is how it comes from the shop. Okay, so just one last sort of mix, because of course the metal will sink inside the fluid, and I'll keep shaking the gun all the time while I'm doing it. I'm not going to put nuts and bolts in the gun. I know that's what you can do if you're spraying flake. Keeps the flake sort of up and about. But for this, it will sink to the bottom, and all I want is iron on the body of the car. So into the gun. So that's it. Paint's in the gun. Now let's get to the car and make it rusty. Right, and so it's the next day, and wow, I painted that rust paint over everything, and even sort of thinged it, you know, sort of blurred it down with the brush and stuff, and this looks less like a paint effect and more like a cry for help. But believe me, I am going somewhere with this. And remember, this is just a matte clear, really thin down, with some iron powder in it that's sprayed on. It goes like this. There's always lumps in it and stuff, but that just sort of adds to it when you sand it down. Let's have a look at some bits I have already sanded. I've already just gone over this with a mixture of, I'm doing like a 120 then a 320 over that, you know, sandpaper grades, just to fog this out so it doesn't look so oversprayed. But this is the stuff, I don't know if the camera can pick it up, but you can sort of see the metallic sort of twinkle of the iron powder in its sanded form actually in the paint. This is what's going to rust. Very nice to see that there, because now I know there's some actual iron within what I sprayed on. Because as I was saying when I was spraying it, you've got to really keep shaking it, because that stuff will sink through the paint straight away. You've got to keep it shook, and you get this nice distribution of iron powder locked in to the 2K clear. Now, the reason I'm sanding it is just, I'm going to sand it, and as I sand, it just takes like the sheen, the 2K matte clear, and exposes the actual iron. So when I spray over this with the salt, vinegar and peroxide mix, it will rust straight away. So what I'm going to do, go around the whole car, flat it all back, because I'm not sanded nearly enough on this car. I want to sand for days more, because I just love it. No, I don't, the car's too big. So I'll just DA around this, then we'll spray it in the rust stuff, then we'll dry it off, and then I'll go over with the colour, and hopefully within a few days this one will sit looking nice and green, and then the rust will come through as if by magic, or maybe it's as if by nature. So then, as we're doing this, you can see here I've sanded this, and here I've not sanded it, and it's these like hard edges on these runs that I want to get rid of. I want to perhaps leave some of the streaking, but just make it all smooth. So that is what the DA sander does, and that it just takes it down really nice. So when the paint goes on, the paint will look like the OEM factory paint, and then the rust will come through, just like time and the elements would have. Welcome to the Kustom Works kitchen, where we make things that, my God, you never ever want to eat. Oh, lordy. Right then. So, we're making the stuff that rusts metal. So, what we're going to do is we're going to make it with salt, liquid peroxide, distilled vinegar. That's it. So, to mix this stuff up, first I've got spray bottle, and I'm going to put normal table salt in. And I'm going to go on this about 20 millimetres in the bottom of here. And there we go. I reckon that should be about enough. It's time for the peroxide. So for this, we want about 400 ml on this mixing cup. There we go. And then pour that in with the salt. So that goes in with the salt, and then we're just going to fill this up with the distilled vinegar. So I've filled that up with the vinegar, and I've left a bit at the top there so I can give this a good shake, because what I don't want is any of those grains of salt like blocking up the gun or anything. I want all of that to be dissolved, and I want all of that salt to get in contact with the iron powder that is locked inside that 2K clear. So now, time to shake. Shaking, 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 shaking. So this whole technique, I just saw on another YouTube channel called BBG, and he shows all of this, and I've literally just ripped it off, but I've done it before on a really rusty truck, and it worked just so well. It was unbelievable. Okay then, so I'm talking at the minute. I will put a mask on in a sec, but just to show you how to do it, now we have the peroxide vinegar and salt solution. What else could it be? Potion, mixture, medicine. Okay, so I'm having trouble with the water spray here, but what I'm going to do is remove this filter off the bottom and just let it suck up the raw salt. I mean, this was a pound, but I think I can stretch to this, you know, just blazing it in one job. So here we go. Why doesn't it work? Why is it already very rusty? Looks like the £1 spray bottle isn't working. You know, when you've invested this much in a bit of kit, it's always disappointing. But I'm going to have to go, I think I'm just going to put it in the spray gun, blow it on. Seems the quickest way. I'm going to get the gun set up. You know, the potion has worked. The paint has gone rusty. It looks good. And now, there's a bit of that chemical in there. I've wiped off the excess and just dried the car off. And now I've got the fan heaters going. And when this is fully dry, I'm going to go over it with its green base coat. I'm going to thin the base coat. I'm going to try and put it on as thin as I can. And on some parts, top of the door and the bonnet, I might not put hardly any paint on there because I want that to look like it's been sun bleached through. And then once that's dried, then I'll flat that down, and that flatting will open the pores in the paint and let moisture come through. It'll rust through the back of the paint and look totally legit, like this really is a rusty old truck that was abandoned at some point. But good lord, this thing looks good. Like really, really good. All these riveted bits I'm absolutely over the moon with. Just the way the rust looks. It's just fantastic. Okay then, so my inspiration for the paint. First up, I took a lot of inspiration from this grasshopper. In the back of my mind, I've got like an old sort of lawnmower. You know, the green with the... We're going to have maybe some gold leaf lettering on this, I don't know. But that's that kind of thing, like an old lawnmower. This is a paint. I've just cleared some room here. So it's all getting a bit Breaking Bad in here. So there we go. Move all that out of the way. Okay then, so first up, and this is the main colour. This is only base coat. There we go. There's the green. And then I have a second colour, which is this, which is just a shade off. That is just a shade off that. So what I can get is some areas where, you know, the paint has faded, some areas where it's not so much. But I can get like a sort of patchy thing without having two obviously different colours. You know, this is more how the patina of a car would sort of emerge over the years. And also, for the trim spike down the middle of the car, I've got this super light, almost beige, which I'm assured is a very light green. So we're all in the green spectrum on the car. That arrow down the side's going to look great in that cream. And then these two colours on that. Then I'll flat that down a bit. And then we'll just wait, see what the rust paint does. All of this bit is going to be green. This sort of trim thing down the side, that is going to be in the sort of beige colour, which is actually a super light green. And then in certain areas, I'm going to fog in with some of the just off, slightly darker green, just to give it that sort of patchy patina look. I'm going to get some paint on. Paint has gone particularly good on the meat wagon. I think already you can see, like, if you imagine grey bit's going to be like polished aluminium, this bit's going to be like old green truck, this bumper will also be aluminium, but it's come out particularly well. So some bits have come off, such as here, which is great, and then I've dusted in a slightly darker green over this, and I've dusted in a bit of black. But really, the black will all be flatted away because I just want it to be, you know, sort of in the cracks and stuff. So a lot of that will be flatted away, but I'll leave a little bit. But I have already flatted a bit and I'll put some acid on it overnight. So let's have a look at how that looks. We've got the bare rust just here, and then it sort of fades out. This will rust through more over the next couple of weeks. It's just come out great. It just looks so right. Even on the bonnet, some of just how it's sanded through is great. We've got these speckles here, which is where the gun, I had the pressure super low, so I did get some of this, but these were sort of the gun spitting. Now, what I might do is using some sort of brush with some of the paint on it, I might try and do more of that around the front, because to me, that just looks like a stone chip. Super pleased with it. So now, all I've got to do today is flat the whole truck down and then cover it in acid, and then we shall wait and see. Just on the thing of this paint, at the end of this, once this is rusted through all I want over the next couple of weeks, it will be sitting outside for a bit on the lift because we've got some metal work to do underneath this. Once the elements and the acid and everything has done its job, then I will just clean it off a little bit, and I'm going to go over it with, I'm going to tint the lacquer. So I'm going to cover this in almost like a gold candy. The gold tint in the lacquer gives it a sort of a nicotine stained look. If you want to see how that does look, I did that rat van thing called Taxidermist a few years back, and I did the same thing on that. What it does, it just brings the whole build together and brings like a uniform finish to everything, and it all looks like, and I like to think all my cars look like it's all come out of the same bag. That clear coat that I was just talking about just then, there's going to be in a matte 2K as well. Mikpa do a just amazing matte 2K. It just comes out absolutely dead, but it's fully washable and, you know, hard wearing. And also, you got to think this is a food truck. I don't want it gnarly rat rod, because if someone's standing waiting for a burger in a pair of, such as I'd be wearing maybe at a car show, a pair of beige slacks, you wouldn't want to rub up to it and get a rust patch on a beige slack as part of a 3-piece safari suit. That's what I wear on the weekend anyway. But for anyone else in a beige safari suit, I'm going to save them that rust stain misery by using the matte 2K clear. Finished sanding it down. A lot of the rust has come through nicely. Got a stone chip sort of effect, and it just looks generally distressed. The whole wagon does. But now we need to make the bad even worse. So what we're going to go on, we're going to go around the whole truck in the same solution that I used earlier on. To start this sort of rust process, I'm going to go around it again, and then I'm going to leave it. And I'll probably do this a couple more times before we finally do it. I'm going to leave it out on the ramp in the rain for a couple of days. I'm just going to let nature take its rusty course on making this actually look like an old sort of wagon that was dumped in a field, but then reborn. Yeah, that's what's going to happen. So let's get the gun, let's get the mask, let's blow some acid, no, peroxide, vinegar and salt on the car, whatever it takes. Okay then, so I've sprayed that sort of potion on to make the rust come through. One thing that has occurred to me is I put it into my spray gun. Now, my gun is suitable for waterborne and everything, so everything inside should be like the best of stainless steel. But just be careful, if you put it into any gun, make sure you really flush it out fast, because that stuff will rust anything. So it will definitely rust the metallic elements of the gun. I've just done like almost like 2 cups full of thinners through the gun, flushed it out really well, and hopefully all that has gone. Also, you don't want any of that stuff contaminating future paint jobs. Maybe I should have used my primer gun. You get my thing. Make sure your gun's clean after you've done it. So that is it for another week. Join us next time on Kustom Works. We'll be doing loads more custom madness. Don't forget, you can click down below if you want to buy T-shirts. All in that description. All you need to know. Buy one now. Also, don't forget to click, subscribe, do the thumbs up, leave a comment down below. Until next time. Is that the sun? Is that actually the sun? I think it is. Until next time, I thank you very much and get out.